Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to thank the few that came out on this very, very cold night.
Party soldiers.
The few, the proud. Eileen, can I get a roll call?
Sure. Mr. Burns?
Here.
Mr. Cook?
Here.
Mr. D'Andriano?
Here.
Mr. Rogan?
Here.
Mr. Williams?
Here. Somebody like to make a motion on the reports?
I'll make a motion to accept the code compliance for November, code enforcement November, dog control officer from November, ECI from November, December, Patterson Recreation, October, Patterson, and so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I get a motion on the supervisor's report for September?
Make a motion to accept the supervisor's report for September, so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have the minutes.
Make a motion that the town board approves the minutes of November 15th and November 29th, 2017. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Somebody like to audit the bills?
I will make a motion that the town board approve abstract number 22 dated November 30th, 2019 in the 2017. Hold on.
You're getting ahead.
Yeah. Ooh.
219.
All right. In the amount of $189,877.69. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Kevin, you're up at bat.
All right, first item on my agenda, actually, Russ, this is for you, and I also wanted to mention William, is it Perigine? Billy Perigine. I had the opportunity to go down to the recycling center last week, and I just remarked at how far we've come, and, well, this is my 8th year on the board. It just looked phenomenal down there. Everything was broom swept. It was clean. There was not stuff blowing around. The compactor looks like it's running well, and I just wanted to compliment you on taking that over and running it, because it's made great progress, as I've seen over the years, and also him. He's ultimately very professional. I just think it's running like a well-oiled machine, and I just wanted to acknowledge that. So, thank you. So.
Agree.
Next item on my agenda is a settlement of a tax certiorari. Crown Atlantic, who I guess they must be a tenant, but they're a net tenant.
They're a triple net tenant.
Triple net tenant. So if you're a triple net tenant, you pay a proportion of your taxes and thereby have the right to grieve the taxes or file a grievance on the taxes, which they did. There has been a small reduction. The original assessed value for 2016 and 2017 was $1.125 million. It was reduced by $25,000 to $1.1 million, and they have agreed to waive excuse me, any refund from the town. So I will make a motion to approve the resolution that we have before us, resolving the tax certiorari for Crown Atlantic LLC, and I guess, authorizing our council to execute and enter into the stipulation of settlement and judicial order. I covered it all? All right, so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Alrighty. Budget transfers. Budget transfer 48 is $600 between state retirement and MTA taxes contractual. Budget transfer request 49 is $218 from traffic control contractual to superintendent of highway services in the highway department, highway personal services. Budget transfer 50 is within recreation. It's transferring it's transferring $1,000 from recreation programs revenue concessions, building recreation center personal services for $1,500, and recreational programs contractual concessions of $850, and moving that into other lines, increasing recreation program special events by $1,000, recreation center personnel services by $1,000, recreational programs PS special services by $500, and recreational programs contractual special events by $850. Budget transfer request 51 is within the Patterson Fire Department judgments and claims contractual tax certiorari, moving $2,158 from workers' comp to judgments and claims contractual tax certiorari. It's a lot of budget transfer requests. These are all
End of the year, folks.
year ends balancing the budgets in each line. So budget transfer request 52 is transfers within budget Veterans Park District's judgments and contractual. It's moving $118 from state retirement to judgments and claims contractual tax certiorari. And last but not least, budget transfer within library, moving 940, actually increasing two lines, increasing appropriated fund balance by 940 and judgments and claims contractual by tax certiorari by 940. So, that being said, I will move those 40 budget transfers 49 through 53 as read. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. D'Andriano, you're back.
All right, first item on my agenda is the Patterson Safety Contract Renewal. So, we're looking to renew our contract for next year for drug and alcohol testing, so I'd like to make a motion to accept the resolution as written to renew this contract. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Second on my agenda is computer purchases. So we're looking to purchase 2 computers for Town Hall to replace some outdated equipment.
Yeah, many years ago, when I was town planner, I put the town on a computer replacement program. Typically, we're buying 3 to 4 new computers every year. This continues that policy.
Excellent. Includes all the software. Looks like it has Adobe and Microsoft and all the good stuff it needs.
Microsoft Business and Adobe, yeah.
Good. So I'd like to make a motion to approve $1,626.84 to purchase 2 computers. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's all I have.
Charlie.
Next on our agenda is a request from the Putnam Lake seniors for a trip to Mohegan Sun next April. Impact on the budget's $1,095. This looks like it's mostly bus trip for all these guys, I guess. Yeah. So anyhow,
But it's
I
all-
will make a motion that the town board approve this senior trip request from the Putnam Lake seniors in an amount not to exceed $1,095. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next, we have a request from our building operations and maintenance man, Dennis, about replacing a pump at the wastewater treatment plant. And for an inspection by All Makes Pump, it was found that the one of the motors was completely burnt out. So it is extremely important to have both pumps in operating condition, as if one fails, we have a backup. So I will make a motion that the town board approve the quote from All Makes Pump in an amount not to exceed $4,270. So moved.
Second for discussion. Quick question. I know we just replaced pumps over there not too long ago. Is this the other pump, or is this a totally different part of the...
Well, this is the other pump at South Street, but we have replaced probably in my tenure about 9 of these pumps. They are constantly wearing out due to the volume of sewage that they're
It's just nothing,
handling, and it's,
Okay.
you know, we're always doing maintenance on this.
Just
and,
primarily wondering if it was anything, it was like a warranty issue on, like, we just replaced them 6 months ago or something. No.
This was
Okay.
not a warranty. We check, first thing we do is we check the warranty every time we run into this to make sure that, you know, we can't
Okay.
use somebody else's money.
Gotcha. All right, so I guess we're going to vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm good.
Sean, you're up.
Okay. First item we have is a preliminary policy to consider and to discuss. It is on how we do our reimbursement and basically bill collection for our ambulance service. The town supervisor has drafted an initial policy. It's somewhat generic in that we have, you know, people need ambulance service, and then we set forth a policy on how we do our soft billing. This is a policy which takes into account I think the town being very compassionate with our residents and understanding that there are always extenuating circumstances that come up that would need to be considered. So we certainly need to take a look at this policy. It outlines how the billing process works, but maybe more importantly, it sets up a way of determining if there's a financial hardship. So it allows for an appeals process. It allows for residents who need the ambulance service and then maybe can't make the bill to be able to contact the town and go and either set up a payment plan or possibly even request an appeal or a waiver due to hardship. So it sets up a potential committee that would meet and discuss the nuances of each case. The committee is suggested to be the town. I almost said the town planner, I'm sorry. Yeah,
It all works.
The town planner, no, the town supervisor, the administrator of EMS, and the town comptroller. It also gives a table which would be used to say, depending on the number of people in a household and their income level, a sliding scale of fees in essence. So there's a lot that needs to be looked at, but I do think that the first draft is a great draft, and kick it out there for discussion by the board.
I just have a question on the chart.
Correct.
Could you go through that?
Well, before we go through it, can I just ask a more general question to this, because that concerns me? And I'm just wondering if putting that chart in there doesn't open us up to potential suits for discrimination or something like that, in the sense, I get where we're going, but let's say you're a person who's just, you're very, you wouldn't ask for the waiver. It's just like, all right, I owe it. I'm only making 50 grand. I got 6 kids, but so fine. So you don't ask for the waiver, you pay it, and then come to find out later, someone who was making a lot more money than you got a 50% waiver on the fees. And I'm just wondering, is it better to leave it as discretionary than put this chart in here that then opens us up to, well, you have a chart. I know it's discretionary, it's not compulsory, but that's my only.
It is set up to be discretionary.
Yeah.
There are also other,
Checks and balances.
yeah, checks and balances in here, but not checks and balances. There are other justifications for granting the waiver, not
Yeah.
just income. Somebody could have worked for 3 months at a very high-paying job, lost their job, been out of work for 6 months,
Right.
and be in financial distress. So it gives the committee the ability to look at multiple factors, not just the income. But I thought it was important to have some sort of guidelines in here so that, anybody that wants to talk about the waiver has something that they can at least look at to get some sort of a guideline as to what the town feels is appropriate criteria.
So what do you say to the guy who, makes the payment, then finds out after the fact, well, if I asked for it, I would have qualified for a 50% waiver?
I think we cross that bridge when we come to it. If he wants to make the application after he's made payment,
Right.
how much of a financial hardship does he have, number one? Number two, we can always revisit it and give him a refund.
Yeah, I don't think that just because they fall into these categories, that automatically puts them in a hardship.
No, not at all.
It's just a,
But the numbers we're looking at are fairly low.
Yeah.
I mean, they're based on the federal poverty level standards. For a single household, federal government considers the poverty level at $12,060.
Yeah.
Right, we're saying it's double that for a full waiver, so we're doubling the national poverty, but.
Correct.
And what's the burden of proof on this scale when you're talking about number of people in a household and income level? How does someone, how is that, do we say, hey, you have to sign an affidavit of how many people live in your household, or?
It may be. The committee has the ability to ask for additional information to justify their request.
Yeah. But I mean, I think what I don't want to lose sight of, I think when we established the EMS committee, the purpose was to provide excellent service, the safety that we need for people to get the care they need when they most need it, and then be able to soft bill. And I think the part that I liked the most, that was the purpose statement that was stated right up front, that says that the whole purpose of this is to basically gain reimbursement for billing in a compassionate way, in a way that serves the residents of our community. We're not intending to be a bill collection agency, and I think that's, we have a billing company that we'll work through, and when these issues arise, we can deal with them on a case-by-case basis.
Correct.
And have some methodology for why we're making decisions, not just, well, somebody knows this person, or, they know the so it's not arbitrary and capricious.
Correct. That's why we need to have a policy on
Yeah.
setting up payment plans, or where people are going to get, some relief. We do have requests already.
Okay.
It's part of what's driving
Timely
this.
then.
We're gonna get a lot of requests.
I don't think you're going to get as many requests as you think. We haven't seen a lot. Most of the people are either covered by Medicare, Medicaid, or insurance.
Sorry for Charlie, I interrupted you about the chart.
Oh, that's okay. I'm not clear on how the numbers come up on the chart.
Well, it starts off with the federal poverty levels based on the number of individuals within the household,
Right,
okay? I thought that that was pretty low for this region.
right.
I agree.
So what I did is then I
Doubled them.
doubled them, tripled them, and quadrupled them to come up with, some standards. Those numbers are,
Yeah.
subject to further
Sure.
discussion. Everybody
I
may
see.
wanna make them higher or lower, but we can, we needed to get an initial draft out there to start the
Yes.
discussion, which is
Yeah.
what this is.
So what you're
We're not
saying
looking
is-
for anybody to decide this tonight.
Right, I understand.
I'll talk to you offline, here. That's fine, I want to hang it up.
Yeah, I mean, I would be okay with it, but I would leave off the last three columns and leave it as just, I think it flows well with discretion, but I think when you start assigning a percentage to a level, that it could, I just potentially see problems down the line, but obviously you guys will make that decision, that's my 2 cents. All
Yeah, but I think your 2 cents is worth more than 2 cents.
right, it's my nickel.
I'll give you $1.380 for it.
Done, sold.
Well,
But otherwise, I think it's a great idea, and I think, the whole section on financial hardship determination certainly makes sense.
Okay.
Okay.
So do you want to, should we send you comments individually?
You can
Mark
send
it
me
up, or-
comments individually, and we can talk about it next meeting.
Great.
Sounds good?
Yeah, excellent.
Very good.
Okay, the next item we have is our MS4 midterm report, and this is something that the supervisor / planner generates on a yearly basis. And it basically accounts for the actions of the town reporting to the New York State DEC on our MS4 stormwater activities for the time period. So it has things like the number of stormwater basins that have been inspected and cleaned for the year. Thank you, Russ. The number of educational materials that were sent out to the public, and a lot of that is done through town mailings or park board mailings. So, and I think it's noteworthy to show, just for this reporting period, that we sent out upwards of close to 2,000 pieces of educational literature. And Russ, you, and probably with some of Rich's help here, and your
None of my
guys,
help.
none of your help, okay, well, so Russ, you and your crew have inspected and cleaned 1,112 catch basins in the town, and that is no small feat. So I would like to make a motion to approve the filing of this report for the Part 9A midterm report. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. I just want to add one more thing on this, and again, it's thank you, Russ, for all your hard work. I deal with supervisors from 18 different municipalities, so I hear a lot of stories about different highway superintendents, and all the towns are wrestling with this MS4 requirement. And, I hear stories ranging from highway superintendents who just are adamant that it's not their job, they're not doing anything, to highway superintendents who say, I'll be happy to do it, give me more money to do it, both in their budgets and in their salaries. Russ just puts his head down, and he goes out there and he gets the job done every time. And one of the 800-pound gorillas that we have in the room are all these detention ponds that are throughout the town that were created in the 80s and early 90s that no maintenance responsibility has been assigned to. And in the past couple of weeks, Russ has started taking them on as well. So Russ, thanks.
Thank you, Russ.
You do a great job with this program when most people just shrug their shoulders and walk away. So, nice job.
Santa will be stopping at your house.
Twice. Okay, next item we have, and this is somewhat of a continuation. We started this conversation with Camp Wilbur-Hurlick and a waiver of fees when it came to, I believe it was planning board, site plan
Site plan.
application. So this is really a continuation of that approval, and this is a request for a waiver of the fees for the building permit and the certificate of occupancy compliance fee for the new building that they're building at Camp Wilbur-Hurlick. And thankfully, they've finished the rock hammering that I was hearing for about 3 weeks on a daily basis, and so they must be making progress. So I will make a motion that the town board waive the associated fees with the application for Camp Wilbur-Hurlick, again, acknowledging what they do for our community and the give back and the way that they have built that program and worked so hard for our residents in Putnam County and specifically Patterson for so many years. So I will make a motion to approve the waiver of the fees associated with that building permit and certificate of occupancy. So moved.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. First up on my agenda is a proposed zoning change. We talked about this about a month ago. We are looking for ways to encourage commercial recreation development within the town. We do have a specific individual who is looking to occupy a piece of property and open up a commercial recreation facility. The property is adjacent to the proposed rail trail, so it is a great fit for the town and would enhance recreation within our community. So I think we're all generally supportive of it. I did draft a amendment to our zoning code to basically what I'm doing here is we have a section of our zoning code that addresses commercial recreation. We have a CR district. That CR district currently exists in our code as a standard Euclidean zoning district. I proposed eliminating that section out of our code to insert something, with the board's direction to create what's called a floating zone, and that is a zoning district which kind of floats over the whole town. Somebody can come in and make a request to have that zoning designation placed on their property. It has to go before the town board because it is a legislative act, and the town board then can further evaluate the appropriateness of not only the proposed use, but whether it actually fits within the community on that parcel. It gives the town the ability to, the flexibility of having and encouraging more commercial recreation while, giving us the ability to mitigate certain impacts. So I've given it to the board tonight to take a look at. Again, I will put it on for the next agenda for further discussion. I know the attorney, we've had a little bit of back and forth already about, how this plays in with the State Environmental Quality Review Act, that process, and I'm sure we're going to have further discussions. And I look forward to any comments anyone may have or questions.
Great.
Sounds great.
I noticed that 50 acres is the minimum.
Currently within our code, the minimum is 200 acres, and currently within our code, pretty much the only property that qualifies for this CR zoning designation is Thunder Ridge. What we're doing is we're, dropping the standards a little bit to make other properties eligible to be in the district. And there is a provision that keeps Thunder Ridge within the CR floating zoning district.
And the gentleman or the applicant who wants to put convert the property up by the railroad crossing there, his property is like 140 acres or something?
It's 100 plus acres.
100 plus acres, good, okay.
Yeah. So, and he would still have to make petition to get in there. I've included his tax map number in there. I included at the bottom a lot of tax map numbers. Most of those are going to drop out because we want to keep it to the current zoning district, but I wanted everybody to, understand all of those tax map numbers have to do with Thunder Ridge except for the last one.
Yeah.
So that includes all the properties.
Okay, but what about the guy I just mentioned, is
His tax map number is on there as well, but that's gonna ultimately drop out when we go to local law, because he's still gonna have to petition us, I assume. I can include it right now, but then we're basically approving something the board is not that familiar with.
Correct.
I'm very familiar with it because I've been working with the applicant, trying to bring him, into town and get this up and running. But I think the board, out of respect to the board, he still needs to petition the board so they have a full understanding of what is being approved out there.
So then how do we add him in?
He will make a petition, we will go through the whole process that's laid out within the local law, and if we feel it's an appropriate project, then we'll approve it and send it to the planning board.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Great.
Yep.
Okay. I just want to update the board. I attended a meeting last Thursday to discuss the water quality issues that both Jennifer and Peggy are having over on Sapling Court. There were 3 members of the State Health Department, 3 members of the County Health Department. There was myself, the 2 girls, and also a representative from Terrence Murphy's office, who has been very involved in all this and very supportive of trying to find a solution. The health department was down, the state health department, because the state health department now is going to test a number of properties. They had targeted 16 properties. Some of them were private residents, 5 of them were private residents. 2 of those residents did not agree to participate. I don't know if they got all 16, and 2 of the sources were surface water, not groundwater. So they were going to take 2 samples from surface water locations so that they could compare the surface water to the groundwater results. They are testing for a number of different constituents within the water so that they can try to profile the water and come up with an answer as to not only why, but where the problem is coming from. So they were testing not only for sodium and chloride, but they were testing for boron, they were testing for iodides, and I always say this wrong, chaetal nitrogen?
I'll go with what you said.
Calcium, boron, bromide. They are going to be, actually they did the testing the beginning of this week, and they are going to be testing in the spring again. And then they will be issuing a report to us and to the girls and to everybody. Hopefully this is going to provide some sort of answers for us. I am very concerned about the limited number of tests that they're conducting here, because it's a very small set of wells that they are testing. I know we actually tested a lot more in the way of residential wells, and the results that we got were all over the charts, from people who had some of the cleanest drinking water I saw, which were right next to the 2 girls who have a problem, you know, to other people who had a problem with nitrates. So I will keep the board appraised of everything that's going on. Thank you. And the last item on my, well, actually, not the last item, but the last item on my printed agenda is an executive session legal. We have a contract that we need to talk about, and I would like to get an update from our attorney on a couple of other issues. I do have a couple of pieces of other business that I would like to talk about. Actually, just one that I would like to talk about with the board. I received notice today that the consolidated funding application grants, the award notices were issued today. I reviewed all the notices. We had put in for a number of different grants. Unfortunately, we weren't successful on all of them, but when I look at the list in Putnam County, I think we're lucky. We did get a grant to do a stormwater project that is going to solve a drainage problem that we have down at the end of North Street. We got $146,000 to do the stormwater improvement over there. So we're gonna be fixing that drainage problem down on the end of North Street, and we're gonna be treating the water before it goes into Veterans Pond. So that's great. Yeah, that's a big plus for the town. You know, I was disappointed in the fact that, you know, I look at Dutchess County and they got 20, 25 grants. Westchester got 20, 25 grants. And Putnam County got 3 grants, 1 to the county, 1 to the town of Patterson, and 1 to the Shakespeare Theater. So I don't know what everybody else is doing wrong or we're doing wrong, but I certainly intend to call the state and have a conversation with them about what we can do better, because you know, it's always good to be using somebody else's money to make improvements in the town and bring us forward.
But at least that project, one, is long overdue, and second, it's an important one.
Yep.
And we could put it on next year's
Yes, I say we get
midterm report, right?
MS4 credits too.
Well, if we can get it done by next year, the full project is probably gonna be more than $146,000. But I am taking the project to the East of Hudson watershed to fund the other portion of it, which should not be a problem. This is a practice that we do, you know, frequently. The problem is they have right now a limited pot of money. We are waiting, we've negotiated an agreement with the DEP DEP and the State Health Department, as part of that negotiating effort to get, I believe it's $17 million to do stormwater projects within Westchester, Putnam, and Dutchess. Most of it's going to end up being in Putnam because of the way that the agreement is structured. And we may have to wait for that. That may not be available to 2019, but I also know the state in the grant process, anybody who's dealt with them, they usually run it through DASNY. And DASNY will just take years to get all the paperwork. They have a multi-step process, and they just want one more thing after another. I've been working on, for example, the docks over in Putnam Lake, and I got all the paperwork into DASNY, and then they sent me a letter saying, please redo the initial paperwork, because it's been 2 years.
Nice.
So, I had to redo everything from the beginning. I just did the whole package over and sent it to them.
Wow.
Is it a reimbursement basis? Do we have to front the money?
It is generally reimbursement basis.
Good.
So, and that is it for my agenda. Any town board member have any other business?
I just have one thing. I just want to mention how it's been really great, all the different festive events that have been going on around the town the last couple of weeks. I was away this weekend, but I missed the 2 breakfasts with Santa. We had one at the rec center, one at the Putnam Lake Fire Department. We had a tree lighting at the Patterson Fire Department. And I just really want to mention the Putnam Lake Fire Department Christmas parade. It was just unbelievable.
It was phenomenal.
And I'm not just saying that because I was the Grand Marshal, but it really was phenomenal. And the rec center did a great job. They had a great float driven by Supervisor Williams.
I got dragged into it and happy to participate because it is a really great event.
It was a lot of fun, and I actually dragged my kids there. They didn't want to go, and then after I walked the whole parade and I came back to find them, they were dancing and having a great time. And it was just great to see all the people there. It was just, I couldn't believe how many people go to that and stayed afterwards. After the parade, they stayed for Santa and refreshments and music, so it was a really good time. And I heard Sean and his wife cheering me on as well.
We did?
Yeah.
But I think it's great that we have all these things going on in the holidays.
And we did, this past Saturday, Sean and I were cooking pancakes once again.
Yes.
At Breakfast of Santa, and it had a great turnout.
Charlie.
And Charlie was
Yeah.
there working the line.
Yeah.
That's right.
It was.
Keeping everybody in line.
Yeah.
Lining
So-
up all the cups.
Yeah. No, it was good. Considering the weather, I think they had a fantastic turnout
They
with
did.
the weather, but
Yeah.
it was great.
And you know what, that turnout, it was steady.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And those who came early stayed, but then more came,
Yeah.
more came.
Yeah.
And Santa was at his best.
Santa was. Yeah.
Public recognition. Going once. Not
Right.
hearing anything.
Hearing crickets.
Before we all leave, on behalf of myself and the whole town board, I would like to wish everybody a very happy holidays, Merry Christmas, I'm gonna say it. And I hope everybody has a wonderful new year. So,
Merry Christmas.
with that, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Motion to go into executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.